welcome to this edition of Mikey's Saturday Nightmare. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching the videos as I'm getting them put out. I apologize for not having a really decent schedule as far as getting videos put out. Like I did before, I missed that. I wished I was able to get a decent schedule, but for right now, I'm not able to. But I am trying to get these videos. Sorry about that. These videos put out as often as I can. So, thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope you enjoy. Now, on today's video, we're going to talk about a movie that came out in 1986, and it was directed by the great Fred Decker. And pretty much, I've loved everything this guy has done over the years, and some of the movies he's done are one of the movies he's directed is called The Monster Squad, and he also directed RoboCop 3, and he directed one episode of the Tales from the Crypt TV series. I enjoyed the Tales from the Crypt series. I wished it would have never went off, but it did eventually. But it was a good show. RoboCop 3 was an okay film. I think it kind of went more towards comedy than action, but it was still a decent movie. It was still a decent movie. Monster Squad was just absolutely hilarious. I love that movie. Wolfman's Got Nards. It will forever be one of my favorite childhood movies. So thank you, Fred Decker. And the film we're going to talk about today is called Night of the Creeps. And this was a very unique film. It paid homage to a lot of people, as you'll find out when I go through this. So this film stars Jason Lively, who played the character of Chris, and he also played in such films as National Lampoon's European Vacation, Rock and Roll High School Forever, and he also played in 2 episodes of my favorite TV series, The Dukes of Hazzard. National Lampoon's European Vacation, what can you say? All those movies were pretty much fantastic. I enjoyed all of them. I really did. And Rock and Roll High School Forever had Corey Haim in it. It was decent. It's good for a laugh if you've never seen it before. And of course, I love the Dukes of Hazzard. I've always been a fan of the Dukes of Hazzard. The film also stars a Jill Whitlow, who plays the character of Cynthia, and she's also played in such great films as Porky's, Mask from 1985. That's the one with Cher and Eric Stoltz. That was a good movie. Excuse me. And she also played in the film Weird Science, which is a great comedy film from the early 80s. Porky's is fantastic. If you haven't seen that film, go back and watch it. It is like the prelude to American Pie. It's like a raunchy film, but it came out in the early 80s. It's great. It's great. And the film also stars Tom Atkins as Detective Cameron, and he's also played in such films as Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, John Carpenter's The Fog, and he also played in the great cult classic Maniac Cop with Bruce Campbell. All 3 of those films, well, I particularly didn't care that much for Halloween 3, basically because they spun it away from Michael Myers, which should not have been done, I don't think. But The Fog and Maniac Cop, fantastic films. Fantastic films. All right, so the plot for this film is alien brain parasites entering humans through the mouth turn their host into killing zombies. Some teenagers start to fight against them. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the trailer for 1986's Night of the Creeps. Here we go.
The night of the fall is finally here for Chris, Cindy, and JC. It's going to be the best night of their lives. But tonight is also the night of the creeps. From a world unknown comes a nightmare unimagined. First, they are under you, around you, on you, and then inside you.
They get in through your mouth, and you walk around while they incubate, even if you're dead.
They are a new breed of terror.
Freeze!
They are a different kind of horror.
Zombies, exploding heads, creepy crawlies. We could have a little problem.
The creeps are taking over.
I got good news and bad news, girls.
What?
The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
You have never had a night like this. Night of the creeps. If you scream, you're dead.
All right, that was the trailer for Night of the Creeps. This film had a budget of an estimated budget, I should say, of $5 million. Not a very big budget. The worldwide gross for this film was only $591,842. Not very good. But this film, like I said, has a cult following that is unreal. Uh, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I really did. I enjoyed this film so much. It's a great comedy. And like I said, it does pay homage to uh, the horror genre in different ways. It's fairly original for a B movie. The alien slugs that infest uh, the humans and turn them into zombies may seem like typical B movie theme, but it's portrayed in a fairly unique manner. Even with a small budget, the special effects of the slugs as they roll along the ground through the film look realistic and somewhat unnerving. It is often the most simple effects that are the most discomforting. Um, the the way they did the slugs in this film was fantastic. And the fact that that added to the plot to where they explain what happens to you when they infest, when they get inside. They go in through your mouth and they incubate inside your brain. And then when, while that's happening, you change into a zombie. And then something happens that you know, die and your head busts open, more come out. But while you're carrying those things inside you, you can infect other people. So that was pretty cool the way they did that. Um, Often the most simple effects uh, that are the most discomforting to the viewer, especially when it comes to horror films. Tom Atkins is perfect for the role of the washed-up detective Ray Cameron. Another acting bonus would have to be our two young heroes, Jason Lively and Jill Whitlow, Chris and Cynthia. Lively, as always, plays the young, likable Claude, somewhat bashful, moronic, and accident prone. But you can't help but like the guy. And Jill Whitlow is just plain cute. Um, she is kind of shy in this film. I mean, her character is. Her character is. But that's who she's supposed to be. She's kind of shy in this film, but then, she kind of brings up the idea of what's going on and nobody believes her and, and everything. And, I sometimes think that 80s flicks didn't have enough cute girls in them, but Whitlow was one of them. Night of the Creeps is a cult classic by Fred Decker that is sort of a tribute to zombie slasher and sci-fi films, with a little comedy thrown in. It's corny, it's campy, but it's 1980 awesomeness. Okay. This film, there was a lot to it. A lot more than I think people realize to this film. It's a fantastic film. If you've never watched it before, you definitely owe it to yourself to sit down and check out this film. I'm sure you'll find something in it to enjoy. Tom Atkins is great. Like I said, he's fantastic in this film. Um, and there's a lot of comedy thrown into it here and there. Um, but the gore, the special effects were fantastic for the budget that they had. Which, like I said, it was only estimated $5 million, so it wasn't a whole lot. But they did what they could. Um, so some trivia for the film is, all of the last names of the main characters are based on famous horror and sci-fi directors. George Romero, Chris Romero, John Carpenter, and Toby Hooper was the character J.C. Hooper. David Cronenberg, Cynthia Cronenberg's last name. James Cameron, Detective Ray Cameron. John Landis, Detective Landis. He only had like a little small part in there, I think, if I remember correctly. And Sam Raimi, Sergeant Raimi, another cop. Steve Miner, Mr. Miner, the janitor in the film, uh, that we see in the interrogation room after everything starts falling apart. So it had its fair share of, tributes to the genre by different people using character last names and some first names. A fair share of the film was shot in an old Woolworth department store that was converted into a makeshift studio. That's pretty cool. Um, this is considered as one of Tom Atkins' favorites of his own movies that he's done. Uh, that's a man that has done a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff. And for him to come out and say that this film was one of his favorite films, that kind of means something. It kind of means something. Graffiti on the wall of the men's room where JC is trying to escape a number of slugs reads Go Monster Squad, a 1987 film that was also directed by Fred Decker. There is a scene in the film where it shows the house mother at the girls' dorm living in a separate little house on campus. Um, the movie that the house mother is watching on TV is Plan 9 from Outer Space from 1958. I've never seen that film. Never seen that film. Corman University is a reference to director producer Roger Corman. The spaceship model that was used at the end of the film was later used in the Star Trek Next Generation 1987 episode Booby Trap from 1989. Okay. So Star Trek Next Generation started in 87. And then the 89 episode Booby Trap has a replica of the spaceship model. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. At least it didn't go to waste. Somebody used it for something. Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger play zombie extras in this film. That's pretty cool. Fred Decker, I didn't even know this. Fred Decker originally wanted to shoot the film in black and white. That, I don't know. I don't know if that, I understand why he wanted to do that. because of the way he's paying homage to the classics. So I understand why he would want to do that. But I honestly think it would have hurt the film more than helped the film. I think that he had enough references to other directors and actors and things like that, that he didn't really need to do that. A lot of the films that are black and white that they have colorized, I feel have actually ruined the film. So I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I definitely would still watch the film, even if it was in black and white. I still would have watched it because it's Fred Decker. But I don't know if it would have hurt the film or helped the film. I'm kind of on a toss up on that one. Let's see here. Phil's Diner. I'm trying to put that down quietly. Phil's Diner has become something of a signature for Decker and has been included somehow in all his movies since. Um, I'm going. That kind of makes me want to go back and watch these other films and see how Phil's Diner fits in there. That's pretty neat, though. That's pretty neat, though. Decker's roommate, the great Shane Black, worked on the script and cameos briefly in the shot at the police station with the cop on the phone with Detective Cameron. So that's pretty cool. Being roommates with Shane Black and knowing what he's done with his career. I mean, he's responsible for Lethal Weapon and other great classic action films and some sci-fi and horror films. I'm sure. So that's pretty cool that they were actual roommates together. That's why they worked together so well. I think is because they have kind of that friendship and camaraderie between the two of them. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But like I said, this is a classic sci-fi horror comedy film. And if you've never seen this film, do go back and check it out. It's fantastic. I think if it would have had a bigger budget, if they would have been willing to spend a little bit more for the film, it could have been a great classic. But it already is a classic. It is a cult classic, and there's a reason for that. I truly believe there's a reason for that. And I've watched it time and time and time and time again. I thoroughly enjoyed, like I said, Tom Atkins' character in this film. He does great. He always does pretty good. He always does good in his movies. Even if the movies don't do that well, he always shines. In a lot of his films, even in Halloween 3, and I never did like Halloween 3, but it wasn't because of him. And I think a lot of people are with me on this when I say it's because they strayed away from Michael Myers. They had already made the two films, so you automatically connect Halloween with Michael Myers. Why they decided to split off from that, I'll never know. Maybe I'll find out when I do if I ever decide to do the Halloween 3 for Mikey's Saturday Nightmares. But who knows? But this is a great film. The special effects were pretty cool. I like the slug effects. There's also a kind of, well, I don't want to say it's a side plot. It's more of like a backstory. You get a backstory to Detective Cameron that's pretty cool. And it tells you why he is as gritty and acts the way he does in this film, and that's pretty good. That's pretty cool that they added that in there. I don't think his character would have really been a standout character had it not been for that little bit of backstory that's in the film. And this film is just great. I love this film. It's one of my favorites, and it will always be one of my favorites. So, like I said, if you haven't seen this film, go back and check it out. If you have, let me know down in the comments section below what was your favorite part in the film. Mine was probably the house mother scene. There's a scene in there where she's watching TV and something busts up through the floor. Um, you have to watch the film to find out all that. But it deals with the backstory for Detective Cameron, so I don't want to spoil any of that. But that's probably one of my favorite scenes. That's one of the ones that really, when I first watched the film, it really stuck with me because I was kind of young when I first watched it. Um, I wouldn't say that it scared me or frightened me in any way, but I just thought it was cool the way they did it. So definitely check this movie out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Now next week coming up, there will be, of course, a classic movie buffet theater. I'm kind of debating on whether to wait until next Friday to do that or try to do it earlier in the week. If I do decide to do it early in the week, I'd like to kind of shoot for Wednesday, Wednesday or Thursday. That way there's a little space in between and gives me time to get ready for Saturday's videos. I've been trying to move it around as much as I can and give me enough time to prepare for not only that video but Saturday's video as well. It's a little hard to do, but I am trying to figure it out. Once I do get it figured out, I will let you guys know that will be the schedule for that video. I've pretty much maintained that Saturdays are for Saturday Nightmares, and that will continue. So that move that this video is set. Saturdays will always be Mikey's Saturday Nightmares, unless something happens that I can't get it posted until the next day. But it will be, for Saturday Nightmares. So with that being said, I'm going to end the video here. I appreciate all you guys sticking in and hanging with me, joining the Mafia fam, being a part of the family. I am trying to branch out a little bit and do some other things. I'm in the process of making some merch for the channel. I don't know how well that's going to work out. It's still a work in progress. But if I do decide that it's going to work and I get things rolling, um, I'll have it here on the channel. I'll show it off and see, what we can do about getting it to you guys if you would like some of it. So just a heads up, stuff is coming. Things are kind of changing a little bit for the better. So hopefully everything goes smooth. Um, I appreciate like I said, every one of you for sticking with me and hanging out, watching the videos. The views have kind of fell off a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, I'm still going to be making these videos whether, 1,000 people watch them or 5 people watch them. I appreciate all the views, I really do, but sometimes people get distracted and they're doing their own thing, living their own life. There's jobs, there's other stuff that comes up, and they don't always get to watch every single video. And I understand that because I myself go through that, and sometimes I don't post everything on time like I should. But I'm working to change that. So like I said, I'm going to end the video here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Leave comments in the comment section down below if you feel like commenting. And give the video a like. Hit the notification bell so you know when the new videos come out. And I will see you guys on Wednesday for Classic Movie Buffet Theater. Until then, have a good one, folks. Bye-bye.